Okay, so today I want to talk about external substances and products that you can use to help manage your anxiety. And I kind of hesitate to really do a lot with this topic because, to me personally, it's all kind of a crutch. And like anything that you can use, like take or um, anything beyond just doing the work to heal yourself is a crutch. But it would also be a lie to say that I didn't derive benefit in the process of healing from external substances, and it would be, it's something that helped me, and it was something that was very helpful when my anxiety was just really so life controlling that it was hard to manage and I was desperate for something. It's like I talk about doing the work of healing and really digging deep into yourself, but when your life is in such a crazy, mixed up situation that you can't even get a break from the anxiety enough to do that work, then that's not really that helpful. So I want to talk about a few things that you can and do that will help, and some other things that I would recommend against. So I want to start with the things that I would recommend against. And number one is weed. A lot of people in just general life use weed as an anti-anxiety type substance, and it's effective for some people in those situations, but time and time again, and myself included, I've seen people who have had bad trips recently really not have good experiences with pot in general. And you may want to try it, and everyone's different, but the overwhelming majority of people have ended up saying, I had to stop smoking pot in general just because it was different now. It kind of provoked my anxiety more than it helped it. And I think that the main reason for that is that weed itself, in my view, is a mild psychedelic. I have a lot of people who contact me about having had difficult trips that just involved weed. There was no like traditional, psychedelic like mushrooms or something even involved. And when you've sensitized your brain to psychedelics and kind of the psychedelic experience, it's easy for pot to trigger those same feelings within you and kind of trigger an anxiety spell. So that's not everybody, and I'm not saying that to scare you, but it is a real thing that I have experienced myself and that I see a lot. So just in general, I would recommend not smoking pot to help with your anxiety. It's kind of likely that it will make things worse. And also, you've gone through an extremely traumatic event related to substances. It might just be a good idea to take a break from drugs for a while and kind of let your body and your brain chemistry and your psyche just calm down and get back to basics. That might be a beneficial thing for you, and that's something that I chose to do. I even got away from alcohol, and I was never really much of a pot smoker or a drinker before, but I just got away from it all during this healing process, and that I think is a beneficial thing to do. The next thing I will warn against, and I think this is kind of a more rare case, is nicotine. After my bad trip, I was at a point in my life where I was around some people who vaped, and I think the combination of being around those people and having so much anxiety, I kind of slipped into a nicotine addiction, and don't do that. It was helpful for the anxiety. I mean, like I won't lie, it really did help and take the edge off. But nothing was worth, no amount of anxiety calming was worth going through the process of quitting that. I mean, the bad trip was hard, but quitting nicotine was almost harder, if I'm to say the reality of the situation. So just, I mean, if you already smoke or you already vape or something, it may be helpful for you, but don't let yourself slip into that if you're not already there. And the third thing that is kind of a gray area for me is kind of like psychiatric medication. A lot of people swear by it. A lot of people, it's a big part of a lot of people's lives. It is not something that I have ever done, so I can't really speak in an educated manner about it and about the real pros and cons of it, because I don't have that personal experience. And I hesitate to talk about it a lot on my site because I have a strong personal opinion about it. But what I will say is that if you're going to do that kind of thing, that's fine. You just need to be really informed about what you're getting into and really make a don't make a snap decision about it, because like nicotine, those substances have a quitting process, and they alter your brain chemistry. So it might work great for you, it might not. I don't know. To me, it's an iffy thing. But that's something that you need to really explore in detail if you're going to go down that path. But the thing that I'll say about all of those things, all of, pot, nicotine, and psychiatric medication, it's all taking the edge off and allowing you to kind of take your anxiety level down externally instead of really working through how to manage it. And that may just be the reality of where you're at right now. I was certainly at that point when I was vaping, but it's not a place you want to stay in long term. It's a place that you want to, maybe get through the bad part and then work on getting off. But in the same time, once you get off it, there's no guarantee that the bad part isn't just there waiting for you. So it's really kind of an iffy situation, and that's the whole reason that I'm iffy about using substances anyway. But okay, so enough about the don'ts or the cautionary tales. So 3 things that I used that were effective for me. I'll talk about them now. That I think would be okay to use. So the first thing is chamomile tea. I'm not endorsing Earth Fare, but this is what I do have on hand. Sorry, my light is like. Chamomile is just a really mild, relaxing tea. I use it a lot. I've never had any kind of weird interactions, but definitely check that out and make sure that people, if you're on a medication or something, that you don't have an interaction, because you have to be careful with herbs. But chamomile just kind of calms you down a little bit. It's not really potent. I usually use 2 tea bags when I take it, and I'll sometimes, maybe like 20 minutes before bed, make some chamomile tea and just sip on it. And it's definitely effective, but it's not something you're gonna really notice. It's not like, if you smoke weed, you really notice that you're high. It's not like that. It's very subtle, but it does kind of take you down a notch. And at times that can be good, and in times when I've had like heavy anxiety ongoing, especially around bedtime, I would just go ahead and do some preventive measures with chamomile, and I found that to be effective and helpful. Another thing is CBD products can be effective, and I know I went on that whole spiel about not using weed, but if you're using a CBD product, I think that the mild psychedelic comes from the THC. So if you're using something that doesn't have THC as like the predominant component, I think it's okay. I've had some luck with that. So this is what I'm not, again, not endorsing this company at all, but this is what I use. It's like a honey straw, and it has CBD in it. So I live in the southern United States, and we don't have a lot of options as far as legal marijuana products, and this is hemp derived, so it's really not very potent at all. I usually it's again, like, if you just use this one straw, which is like 5 grams, 0.17 ounces. It's like, so it's not very much at all, but like if you use just one straw, it might take the edge off of you, but again, you're not really going to notice a difference. I've occasionally used like made tea and put like 2 of these in it, and I definitely noticed that I was more, like, not high at all, but more definitely relaxed. And but like in the case of something like this that's hemp derived, it wears off really quickly. So if you just need something to really knock you down a second, then that would be maybe an effective thing. And this is a good combination. Sweeten your chamomile tea with some hemp honey. I don't know. That's something that I do, and it's effective if I really need some help. Okay, so the third thing that I'll talk about is lavender essential oil, and I'm not endorsing doTERRA. No endorsements at all. I'm not trying to sell you anything. But I don't know quite how I got into this, but when I was in this process, I got really into using lavender, like, constantly. Constantly, and I would just put it on, I would, open it up and just put a couple drops in the palm of my hand, and then rub it, and then I would, like, smell it. And first of all, they tell you to dilute it with a carrier oil, so like put it with coconut oil or something else like that, because if you have sensitive skin, it's not good to put the oils directly on your skin. I have pretty sensitive skin, but I never had a problem with it. I'm just saying that because it's not really how you're supposed to use it. There was something about the potency of the oil itself that was helpful for me. And lavender is really regarded as something that is kind of soothing and calming. And I think that it helped me, but I don't know that it helped me because the lavender helped me, or because the smelling of the lavender caused me to breathe really deeply, which is a huge thing in relief from anxiety, is deep breathing. If you're constantly breathing up here and like taking like really shallow breaths, you're gonna have more struggle with anxiety than if you're breathing from down in your stomach. There's a lot of anti-anxiety or anti-panic attack guides that mention breathing, and for me, it never worked that well because my anxiety was so based on my physical body and the potential that I might die, that a lot of times focusing that heavily on my breathing was anxiety provoking in itself. And so I think that the lavender worked so well for me because it was a combination of the soothing scent and also getting really deep belly breaths for a good amount of time. So yeah, those are the 3 things, and there's a lot of different things. I'm really big on subtle subtle substances that are just barely going to take the edge off so that it's manageable and you can learn to work through it. Like, yes, I could smell lavender all day long or drink like gallons of chamomile, but at the end of the day, they're not actually fixing the anxiety. They're just kind of helping me through it. And what you really want to do is work through it. And I have articles about that, and I'll definitely be doing some videos here in a bit, maybe today, about different ways to work through it. So yeah, that's all for this video. I hope it helps, and just make informed decisions about your substance use. Yeah.